Welcome to Small Practice Support Information Session 25. In this Law Society of Ireland recording, James Kiernan talks to Justin Purcell about getting involved with your local Chamber of Commerce.
You're very welcome to Small Practice Information Session 25 here at the Law Society. Today we're talking to James Kiernan, who's Director of Relationship Management at Chambers of Commerce Ireland, about the benefits of being involved with your local Chamber of Commerce. James has worked with Chambers Ireland for the last 16 years, is that fair to say, in a variety of roles around relationship management, financial management, client management, and sort of works in the middle ground of national policy and local policy. So James, you're very welcome, and thanks for taking the time to come and talk to us about why some of our members might possibly become members of the Chambers of Commerce.
Thank you, Justin. I'm not quite with the Chamber 16 years. It's more like 14 years, but I know 2020 felt like 2 years for a lot of people. You know, it did for me. So you're close enough. Now, look, I'm delighted to be welcomed here to talk to your members in the Law Society and yourself, and just give you a bit of a flavour of what we do in Chambers Ireland and how that works, how we work with local chambers and what local chambers do for businesses, because everybody knows about the Chamber of Commerce, but sometimes don't know what they actually do locally and what their function is. So I'll try and answer questions around that and bust a few myths today. So I'll just go straight into it. So, an overview of the network. So this is our map. We've 40 affiliated chambers around the country. We also have the Northern Ireland Chamber, which gives us a bit of an all-Ireland focus as well. So that gives us over 9,000 members that are part of all that network. So we would have some chambers in the larger cities would have over 1,000 members. But then as you get to maybe smaller towns, smaller counties, the membership would be down around maybe 150. So that accumulates up to 9,000 members. So we have direct access to the government and local government, who would probably be our most important stakeholders. So at a national level, we do a lot of interactions with the various government departments and the opposition parties, and really anyone that has a key function in what we're trying to do, which is try and establish a better environment locally for businesses. Then we feed all that information back into local chambers, who actually, their key stakeholders would probably be the local authorities. They do an awful lot of work with local authorities on LEOs as well, on a wide-ranging thing. Do a hard lobbying as well to make sure there's a good environment there for businesses. And there's a lot of work done, locally that goes on behind the scenes. So that kind of accumulates to over 3,000 lobbying activities we've had since the Lobbying Act came in, which is where we have to register all the lobbying we do to senior officials. At junior official level, if you counted that, it'd be a lot more. But we also do a lot of work on international trade as well. So trade documentation, which is available from all local chambers around the country. We also give help and advice on businesses looking to export. So our global links, so there's a European Chamber of Commerce and there's an International Chamber of Commerce, and we're members of both. Our current Chief Executive, Ian Talbot, is the current Deputy President of Eurochambra. And we do a lot of work with the ICC and a lot of issues. We actually, just with the Law Society, we do a lot of work around the arbitration subcommittee, which you guys give a lot of feedback and input into. So just give a flavour of what we've been doing lately, and you might have seen us in the news lobbying on things over the year, particularly around the budget. Is a big active time for all our local chambers and for ourselves nationally. So we get feedback from members all around the country of what are the issues that we need to put in our submissions, our biggest one being the pre-budget submission. So some of the winners that we got from asks around the country from our network was, a larger expansion of investment into infrastructure, transport and housing that's needed. We all know the housing issues with transport is important as well to help the economy grow. Brexit and COVID, obviously, they're the issues of the day. Robust funding there to make sure businesses can survive, and all the uncertainty around Brexit, what that's going to deliver to make sure there's a bit of a buffer there. A new reduced VAT rate, that's really to help, just initially around COVID, really, that the hospitality was hammered this year. So a reduction in VAT rate really helps them. Additional funding for businesses impacted by COVID closure. So they're all the supports, the employee supports that are in place, the various ones, the various iterations that there have been over the year. We've been kind of engaging really with the various ministers on them, ways to make them work better, ways for businesses to access them easier, how long they should be in place. We're constantly lobbying for the 350 COVID payment to be there for as long as we can to support businesses. Commercial rates is always an issue at a local level, and it's something that chambers work hard locally on to make sure that commercial rates are reduced or waived. We got them waived this year due to COVID pressure we put on ourselves nationally and locally in chambers. And funding actually for local authorities as well. While you're taking it away on rates, you actually have to make sure that there is funding there that has to come from central government to allow local authorities to do what they need to do to help communities and help businesses locally. So this is just a snapshot of some of our behind the scenes lobbying. So webinars that we had with Pascal Donoghue, various ministers. This goes on right throughout the year. On the right, these are actually our chief executives from chambers around the country. So we have a call twice a week with our chief executives talking about issues we need to get in the media on or work hard on, or what's going on locally. But we organise meetings as well with the various ministers so they can actually have direct access to them to lobby. We also conduct surveys. So we have 5 surveys this year, just to give you a snapshot of what's happening on the ground locally. So our last one, published in September, shows that there's a 30% decline in revenue in businesses around the country. That's what they're reporting. There's a big issue around invoices. Invoices aren't getting paid. 47% of firms are showing invoices aren't being paid, which is all liquidity. So particularly micro and small industries have been burdened by unpaid invoices. So 52% of businesses say they're outstanding beyond the 90-day period, which is, or 40% are outstanding beyond the 90-day period, which is actually really bad for cash flow. So that means that this leads to an issue. We identify it in surveys like this, where we get feedback from members that actually cash flow is an issue. So it enables us to go to government to say cash flow has to be increased and released out in there through whatever form it is done, through microfinance loans or through LEOs or whatever means they need to do it. But they actually need to get cash flow out to business to make sure it's paid, because once that stops, that really damages an economy. And just giving a snapshot of what we're looking at next year, big issues for us as a network. So this affects every chamber, no matter where you join or where you're a member. So COVID-19, of course, the continued programme for government that was put in place last July, working through that to make sure targets are reached there, KPIs are reached there. Brexit, of course, we'll see the impact of that big time as we go through next year. So we have to monitor that and make sure responses are appropriate. Get the Irish economy competitive again. Economies all around the world have been hit, but if there's a rebound, all economies will be rebounding at the same time and trying to be competitive. So ensure that we're doing things to make sure we're competing with the rest of the world as the rest of the world rebounds from the pandemic, hopefully. Housing, key issue. That's not just in Ireland, but is a real issue in Ireland that we have to sort out. It's a cost for our employees. Low carbon economy, really key issue for us, especially at Chambers Ireland level. Workplace and skills, making sure that this is a kind of ever moving. COVID has kind of changed a lot of things in HR structures, how that's going to change, new skills that are needed, that we actually have the right skills in Ireland to attract FDI into Ireland. All those kind of things is what that workplace and skills. It's a committee we have in Chambers Ireland made up of members from around the country looks at, and how we can actually show what we're doing or make an impact on media. So ways we support chambers locally. So the branding, of course, you'll see our brand, which is same around the network. We have 40 chambers, but you might come across chambers that aren't affiliated to our network. The reason behind that is we have standards that you have to reach to be affiliated in our network. If you don't reach their standards, you can't be in our network. Things around, so when people are paying their fee to join, they should get a certain standard of service back. So it's to ensure that's there. So you're only included in our network if you reach those targets and standards. Grow membership. We help them, look at ways they can grow membership to make sure we have a good cross section of members from different sectors. So our feedback is fairly balanced. We look at training that's needed out there in the economy, GDPR guidelines. We give them help in that. Representation. So local chambers, SPCs, are strategic policy committees that are run out of local authorities. Basically, local chambers can nominate key representatives to sit on these these committees. They can also nominate people to sit on local LCDCs, which is local development and community councils, and ETBs, which is Education and Training Board representatives. So we chambers are the only organisation that can nominate people to sit in them as the industry body. So they look after that locally. So if you've ever an interest in getting involved in any of these committees, go through your chamber. That's how you get nominated. As I said earlier, we look after certs of origin, which is, looking at the international side of things, how we export. It's a required document for exporting outside the EU. Policy support, we give policy support. I went through all that, how that's kind of helps local chambers. We look at board membership appointments and give them assistance in that. The Lobbying Act, where we record everything we do. We organise trips abroad. Not much going on lately with the lockdowns and international travel being on hiatus, but they'll come back. But we actually are looking at developing it virtually at the moment. Various publications. We've chamber HR service that we have as well. We've various policy councils at national and local level, and then we give assistance on social media. So you see a lot of chambers active in social media. I encourage you to follow them. What a chamber does locally, so supports local business, attracts new investment into an area, lobbies hard for the county, the region, the town, lobbies for infrastructure improvements in that area, works to attract tourism, promote local business, lobby to improve the town, the region, or the county, the region, create opportunities for networking, give support and advice. I suppose another area that I've kind of left off the list that's become really important this year is that information has become really important to businesses. Having good, key, strong information about what's going on, particularly in the pandemic, about how you access support, particular deadlines for all those things, what's kind of going on, reopenings, chance to feed it back in. That information comes from our network and ourselves in Chambers Ireland and down to our chambers and out to our members. But that data has been really, really important for our membership around the country, getting that clear, concise data. So how do you get involved with a local chamber? Well, I've always, it's best to get as involved as you can. The more you engage with a chamber, the better it works out for you. So attend their events. A lot of them have moved virtually at the moment. I don't know when physical events will come back. Organize a meeting with your chamber as well, the various staff. If you're curious about a certain thing, some chambers have maybe 6 or 7 staff, others would have maybe only one person. So time can be limited, but organize it, schedule something, have a quick half-an-hour chat with them, maybe once a month. You might get value out of that, and they can actually know what's going on with you and help your issues. Give feedback on important issues. So if you see something in the newsletter that's asking for feedback, give it back. That's how it filters up those Chambers Ireland level, and we can actually talk to the various departments on it. Take part in any surveys they have, follow social media, keeps you up to date with what's going on. And if you want to get even more involved with the chamber once you've been a member, you can get nominated as a representative. I've gone through the various groups you can be representing the local business community on. You can join a committee, various committees that chamber set up on different issues. You can even join the board and eventually become the president if you're that ambitious. But it's all about engagement, I actually have a short video I might just play now. Hopefully it'll come up. I think I get used to this technology by now, so I'll try and do it as quickly as I can. If I still have it there.
So just while we're waiting for that to come on, if anyone has any questions, we'll have a bit of a question and answer session now after this short video, if the technology is going to oblige us.
Hopefully it will.
Yeah, it did earlier, so
yeah, it in our run through.
So maybe while we're waiting, James, will I start to just ask you a few questions? So
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So how, if I want to just get started now, I've heard what you've had to say, and I want to get involved. So how do I find out where my local Chamber of Commerce is, and how do I apply for membership or not, or can I go along to a few sessions without being a member, or?
Yeah, well, that's actually it's pretty easy. You just go to our website. Chambers Ireland has a directory of all the chambers around the country. It's got all the contact information. You can contact them any way you want. but you can actually just start to follow them on social media, check their website, see what events are going along. If some, join, maybe subscribe to the newsletters that are coming out. They're constantly talking about organizing different webinars. If one is interests you, just attend it to kind of just get a feel for what's going on. So that'd be probably a good initial step. I have this here now, so I might as well play it, Justin.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll work now this time. Yeah, that's that.
So that's great, James. So it seems like the chamber kind of offered 3 or 4 kind of distinct kind of, like, one is around lobbying and local policy and national policy, and the other is that there's this networking opportunity that there is for members, and then there's this learning opportunity through some of the training sessions. So just around the networking opportunities for let's say solicitors, is there specific events for solicitors or professional service firms, or what happens if there's other people within the chamber who are solicitors also? Like, do we all end up competing with each other, or?
No. Like, I would say that some of your members would be members of our chambers already. Like, I go out and I talk to a lot of boards around the country. The average board size is about 12 people, and there tends to be 1 or 2 professional services that would be represented there on it. So I'd be surprised if some of your members aren't in there. But we do organise events, and we'd organise events specifically on various topics. So if it's something that interests professional services, there's a chance to do it for 2 reasons. First of all, like, if there's not a lot of that sector within our organisation, then it's something we need to highlight, and talk about, that might be interesting to other members that are in there, for manufacturing or retail, or FDIs, or financial sectors. So it's it'd be interesting to them to hear from what's going on in the professional side of things. If there's a lot of members in there, we don't try and get them to compete with each other. Everybody gets a fair crack with, like, we try and engage every member at the same level. It doesn't matter the size of your organization or your practice, or you're a big, large Indigenous practice. It doesn't really matter. We give everybody the same opportunity to engage. Like, the pricing structure for local chambers to join it's all done based on the size of your membership or the size of your staff. So if you've got, if you're a sole trader, you don't pay the same amount as maybe the big company on the side of town, the Kerry Group kind of company that's employing a couple of 100 people. They would be paying at a higher rate. So the smaller yard, the less you pay, but you still get the same amount of engagement. You can engage as much as you want, but you can always approach your chamber about organizing any kind of event. If you have an idea for something you want to do or put out there, once you're a member, you can actually, float this idea, and 9 times out of 10, the chamber will schedule it in there to do something on it,
So if you wanted to talk to a chamber group around a specific legal issue or legal matter that you were a specialist in, this would be a good way of
yeah. Yeah, and we've specialised in corporate governance and things like that in the past. We've looked at various HR law and legislation that's constantly changing. So we've done sessions on that in the past. So there's a lot of things that we've kind of gone into not niche things on, but they've still attracted a good audience because they're important for business. Once it's pertinent, to a business subject that'll help them the mass membership. We're happy to engage on doing a session on it.
Yeah. And how much access do I get as a member to your database of other members? Is that something that's private, or am I allowed to view that?
Well, once you're a member, you're part of the club. It actually varies a little bit from chamber to chamber. So some of them actually display their current membership and the different sectors. Others don't. But that's kind of changing at the moment. Particularly around putting together databases of, say, retail, because retail are under pressure now, and it's just we're doing a big push around shop local and do your business locally. So we're trying to highlight what's in your area that you can get, to highlight the services that are available in your area to the wider business community, because not every business in a region or a county would be a member of the chamber, so it's important to kind of let people see that.
Very good. And how do I join? Do I need to get proposed or find another member, or who do I contact?
No, it's not at all. It's not as formal as that. To be honest, if you've got an interest in it, you just contact the chamber, send them an email, give them a call, and they'll just go through the process. They'll do it in less than a week, a couple of days. They'll turn it around, and it's just a matter of once you pay your fee, you're in.
And the ideal Chamber of Commerce member, how would you describe them?
The ideal one would be one that pays their fee every year. We're always happy with that. But engaged is what we want. We want you to be engaged. When we don't hear from you, we get a little bit worried. We'll check in to see, is everything going all right? How's your business going? Any issues? Are you having trouble, getting the right people employed in your organization? Have you skills gaps? All these kind of things. We'll ask you questions around that. But we prefer if you came to us with those issues, rather than, we're kind of actively pursuing it. So anyone that's engaged, that comes to the events, take parts in the surveys, follows us on social media, we're happy with a member like that. It kind of shows that they're getting value from the fee they're paying.
So a good way for just to dip in your toe in the water at the moment is to start following your local chamber, find out where your local Chamber of Commerce is located. I think you said earlier there's 40 chambers of commerce nationwide. You're pretty much in every single county. Start following you on social media, and then seeing what the types of events that are being offered, and then to see whether you could start to participate. Yeah,
you'll find us mostly on LinkedIn, Twitter. Pretty much every chamber is on Twitter, and Facebook as well, particularly around events. Just Facebook is a good platform for local chambers to just put the photos up, and a lot of people just like seeing themselves up there on social media,
Yeah, well, it's a good way of a business getting just sort of exposure of sorts,
Yeah, and that's part of our job as well, to give profile,
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about the training and learning opportunities. How are they all business focused, or could you give us a little bit of a flavor of the types of training that?
Well, it's really we try and do a bit of an audit of our membership now and again in a local area to figure out what's needed. So it's not always business focused, but there might be some sessions on PR, how to maximize your PR as an organization. It doesn't matter what sector you're in, really. Then it's things around governance. If training is wanted there. It can be on anything really. So it depends on what comes back in from the skills audit. If it's just kind of getting a handle on your costs, strategic planning, we can run sessions on anything. But they've been popular sessions that we've run around the country. We have 10 chambers currently on that work with SkillNet. That'll probably soon be 13. So and in that area, we offer a lot of training in that space. A key stakeholder for local chambers as well, that they do a lot of training and partner on a lot of training, what is around LEOs, so the local enterprise offices. So we do a lot with them.
So do you want to talk about that relationship a little bit, the local enterprise office? Because I know that they're definitely an organization that I think we think solicitors should also be engaging with, because they offer a slightly different angle.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hope you don't hear the noise in the background. They're actually fixing the footpaths outside my house today, the council. But
As lobbied by the Chambers of Commerce, I presume.
Yeah, well, it wasn't lobbied by me today, but it's
no, not at all. No.
Yeah, but yeah, the relationship with LEOs is like, it's something we're building on the whole time. You know, they're there to support, you know, along with Enterprise Ireland, local business like we are. So, you know, we could have had a relationship a few years ago where we competing with each other, but we decided to work complementary with each other. And, you know, we've meetings every month at a national level. You know, I had a meeting there last week about ways we can continue to work together. So it's supporting things like, you know, trading online vouchers, which has been really flown out the door for businesses as they kind of migrate to that space. And a lot of them actually, the thing with training online vouchers, you get the voucher, but it's how you actually apply it. So training was needed in that space as well, which is kind of feedback that we came back in to LEO with, and they've, you know, since looked at developing courses to support that function, you know, because once you get online, you're actually, well, you're competing in a whole new space. So it's great to get there, but then you have to learn how to compete there. So you have to look at search engine optimization and things like that to kind of get yourself, you know, because you're competing with a bigger market and a bigger world. So it's just how you do that properly. And this is new to a lot of businesses, particularly the smaller guys that are just, you know, finding this out for the first time. So it's about getting that feedback in to get the right kind of focused training, you know, that's actually going to make a difference.
So we're just coming up with just the last couple of minutes there. So if anybody wanted to ask us a final question, we take that now on the chat. I suppose, James, like, how much does this cost if I wanted to become a member? Or like, do you give away free memberships or discounts to our members? Or
unfortunately,
without putting you in a corner.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I can fight my way out of a corner, but it's unfortunate we can't give away our services for free because we actually have to fund ourselves. We don't get any support from government or anyone else. So a lot of people think we are supported by government. We're not. We're completely private sector. So we have to, you know, earn our corn by running events and getting the membership fee, and they're really the two avenues that we do it. So we have to charge a fee. That fee varies depending on how many employees you have in the organization. So it can go anywhere really from 150 quid for a year up to 2,000 quid or 2,000 euros, depending on the size of your organization.
Sure.
So if you're professional services, you're probably, you know,
let's say 1 to 3 people in general.
Yeah, look, it can vary anywhere from you'll probably start out about 150 quid a year to maybe about 300. You know, I'd be saying somewhere in that bracket.
Sure. And the best way to find your local chambers of commerce is to go to the website. I think you've kind of really talked to us today around, you know, what are the benefits. It's a business networking opportunity. It's a lobbying opportunity. It's a way of getting out beyond just networking necessarily with solicitors into the wider business environment. It's what you make of it. It's how much you engage in the actual chamber itself. And sky's the limit. You could become the president one day. You could join a committee, or one. I presume each of the chambers have a number of committees. So it's a really good way of trying to figure out the local environment commercially of what's going on, and a great networking opportunity. Was there anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, but I suppose we see ourselves as community organizations, you know, so we've moved on really from representing business. We're actually representing the whole community. And, you know, it's important that all sectors interact in that. So we feel like, you know, we want to be the glue or the oils and the cogs or whatever way you want to put it, or analogy you want to use to make all that happen. So we're kind of bringing different sectors together that may not interact with each other, but should be, because that's how a local economy functions. That's how a local community functions and local society functions. So we feel we have a strong role in that. So anyway, that's our mission, to kind of work to engaging that and making it happen as easily as possible.
Okay, great. I've just attempted to share my screen there. We're just running out of time. Can you see my screen there? It's just talking about the upcoming sessions coming up, which next week we'll be talking to David Rowe about buying or selling a small legal practice. And then the following week, we're talking to Lauren Spenlin from LexTech about the future of law and technology and this whole arrival of digitization into the whole solicitor space. And then the following week, the dreaded Brexit word, we're going to be talking to Sally Young around what's happening with Brexit, getting an update, just seeing what's going to happen there. Who knows? So you're more than welcome to join us in any of those sessions. I'd like to, if you have any other queries, you can contact me here at Law Society, preferably via email, because I'm not in the office at the moment, jpurcell@lawsociety.ie. And just before we end there, I would really like to thank James for being such a good sport today and coming along and talking to us about Chambers Ireland and the opportunities that are out there around building your networking, building your lobbying, and building your sort of training skills in the whole business area. So,
thank you, Justin. Delighted to join you and your members today.
Thank you. So hopefully we'll see you all next week for David Rowe on buying or selling a small legal practice. Have a good week. Take care.